So today we're talking about my paramotor on the back of my Suzuki v-strom. I have a Parajet Maverick, had this for about 5 years. I've been flying. This particular setup, I built this carrier last summer, so I've had it about a year. I wanted to give it some time to see how it worked out before I did this video, make sure it works okay, see how I like it, but I figured I wanted to do a video at some point so I could share this with people, because I've not seen anybody else do this, at least not exactly like this. Looking around online, I did see there are some people at least who have figured out ways to carry their paramotor on the back of a motorcycle, but I've not seen anybody carry one fully assembled like this anyway. But this actually does work really well. I get a lot of questions. You know, the first question I think most people ask me is, you know, does the wind affect it? It looks like it would. I don't really feel it, to be honest. It does seem to affect the MPGs on the bike, but aside from that, the wind doesn't really seem to be an issue. The main thing that is noticeable is having the weight behind the axle does affect the CG on the bike. It makes the handlebars a little squirrely, but that's really only noticeable at low speeds, first gear turns, like turning around in a parking lot, that sort of thing. I was able to fix that by putting shorter links on the rear suspension, which raise the rear end a little bit. It changes the angle of the bike, which changes the center of gravity. I also have the preload cranked up. It's not completely fixed, but it is significantly better. At higher speeds, it's barely noticeable at all. It doesn't seem to affect the handling of the bike too much at all. So really, it's not too bad. It doesn't bother me too much. I'm pretty much okay with it. I've been riding motorcycles since I was big enough to hold one up, so it's probably not the safest thing, but if you're careful, it's manageable. So I'm gonna get off the bike here and take a walk around so you can get a better look at what's going on with this, and we'll get into this a little bit more. So you can see what I have here. I have the wing inside of a bungee net bag. That keeps it from flying off in the wind. The carrier is built out of 1/4-inch steel square tubing, aluminum rails, ratcheted on. I'll explain how that all works. I have a little tail light on there. As you can see, it's not affecting the visibility of the license plate or the turn signals. Everything's nice and secure. Okay, so here's how I put this on here. Put the left side in this bolt, and the right side hooks in, and gas tank slides right in the edge right there. You can see it's pretty secure already. Then my ratchet strap goes up through here. Hooks in the eye hook there. Hooks in the eye hook here. And then I have this pipe insulation that I cut pieces to hook around the back side of this to keep the buckles from scratching. Get that in position. Ratchet this down. It really doesn't have to be very tight. Just a little bit of snug. Excess goes inside the seat. Easy, it stays in there, no problem. The other side is the same thing. Goes over the side, ratchet it in, hook it in. This side down here. Then I also have this bungee strap, which I hook in this loop on the back of the seat here and connect to the top. The purpose of that is it holds the seat up. The reason for that is so that you can see turn signals underneath the seat from the back of the bike. Alright, so now I'm going to get the wing put on here. So I have this bungee net bag. As you can see, this is two sides. It comes with these plastic hooks, which are pretty much useless. So I added carabiner hooks to hold it down. What I have to do to get this thing in here, turn this way. Lay this on the ground. Then put one foot on the bottom. Stretch it around. That's in there. Let's just sit right up here on top of this. I have frame, or with the side boxes here, I have frames that I can connect to. So I hook on this side here in front. And then you can see back here, I come in and I hook this onto the frame of the paramotor. And I use this plastic hook there. And I hook this up over the top, which is also to keep the net out of the way so that the turn signal is visible through the back. And you'll see I do the same thing on this side. Have the carabiner hook here. This carabiner hook goes onto the frame. This one hooks there. Push this net up over the top. And the other thing I have is I use these bungee straps, which hook on here, go over the top, back of the bag, connect that to the other side here. Make sure that's fine. Do the same thing on this side. Connect one here, and this over the top. And this comes down over here. And I connect this one to the carabiner over here because it's easiest to connect to. See, this is all packed up in. Got the 2 bungee straps. The propeller won't spin. It's hitting here. Everything is secure. And it looks good. Okay, so we've got the carrier off the bike now. So as you can see, it is 1 1/4 inch square steel tubing. I chose to bolt it together as opposed to welding, mainly because I have not welded since I was in high school like 25 years ago, and I also don't own a welder. So I just used an angle grinder and cut all the pieces and drilled and bolted. Got aluminum corner rail here. These are corner brackets, eye bolts. This piece here is a deflector for the exhaust. What I figured out after I had it assembled on the bike was that the exhaust was directly hitting this piece of tubing, and it was causing the bike to backfire. So I put this on here, which angles the exhaust a little more and solved that problem. These pieces go forward and mount on the bike. This one on the an extended exhaust bolt, and then I added a bracket to the frame on the other side. And then this mounts to the carrier on the top, which we'll take a closer look at how all that works. I think that pretty much covers the overall assembly. These bolts here are where the Maverick frame, the paramotor, actually hooks in and secures to the carrier. So that's the overall design here. I got these little plastic end caps on Amazon. Finished it up a little bit. The paint has gotten a little scratched with use, but it's holding up pretty well so far. So the way this works on the bike, I had to do a little bit of modification, but didn't actually have to drill any holes on the bike to do this. There was a rubber cover on the carrier here that pops off, and then I used the existing holes and came up through the bottom with these bolts and put these 2 pieces of square steel tubing. And if you see underneath, I reinforced with some flat bar to make this a little more secure. And then on this side, this exhaust mount bolt here I extended, which is where that side mounts. And on the other side, you can kind of see through here, I added a piece of steel flat bar. I actually used hose clamps because that's what I had. I figured if they break, I'll go back in and do it with U-bolts. And then this is a little corner brace with the bolt through it, and that's where the other side mounts. So that's how that works. And then I've also got a wire poking out from underneath the seat, wired into the tail light assembly, which is where this plugs in for the tail light and brake light assembly. Alright, so here real quick is how this goes on. Pretty quick and easy. Slide in through here, and then line up the holes. And all I'm using for this is just some regular lock washers, wing bolts, wing nuts. These work just fine by hand tightening. I usually keep some pliers on hand and just snug these ones underneath a little bit extra with pliers just to make sure they don't come off. They're kind of crucial. The ones on the top, they're not going anywhere. And then last but not least, plug this in. Brake light. There it is. As you can see, it's not going anywhere. The whole bike's moving. But that's about it. So there you have it.